Hey, welcome to the Daily AI Show. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Monday after the Super Bowl, everybody. This is the Daily AI Show. I'm Beth Lyons. With me in the studio today is Andy Halliday. Brian is doing stuff and not able to be on the show today. He'll be back on Thursday, it looks like. And it is episode 656. Now, the big thing that happened this weekend was the Super Bowl, but there are some other things adjacent to the Super Bowl that I think are interesting, and of course, all the other AI news. Andy, what is on your first?
Well,
how are you?
Let's knock through the AI ads at the Super Bowl.
Okay, cool.
And just so first of all, to do a 30-second ad at the Super Bowl this year was $8 million. So every one of these companies that I list here, it is having to have spent a minimum of $8 million to just have one 30-second spot. And there are some of the larger companies, say Gemini, had higher level sponsorships, which cost, I'm sure, many tens of millions of dollars. But so there was a lot of news last week about, Claude's pregame ads that they kind of released that were supposed to show, or similar ads would be showing at the Super Bowl. And then, there was dialogue basically back and forth about, whether that was a fair representation of what OpenAI's ads would be like, and so on. But the actual ad that Claude put forth was actually, tempered a little bit. It did not kind of declare that ads would look like, the assistant in interjecting, commercial propositions right in the middle of their efforts to assist you in a personal matter, for example.
Well, clever, right? Because now you've set the stage. You've gotten your message across. Yeah. Now you've set the stage, and now we're talking about it again because it wasn't exactly the same thing, right? Like very effective advertising.
Right. So yeah, it was a little softer. It was basically just, ads shouldn't be a part of your AI assistant conversation. That's the position that I think both Anthropic and OpenAI agree with. Like, that's not where the ads are going to be occurring. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of other AI companies. Meta had multiple 30-second ads for Oakley's sporty AI, application. So the Oakley, I keep wanting to say Meta Ray-Bans because that was the term of art that came about with the Meta glasses, but there's Meta Oakleys as well, which the ads kind of portrayed as being something that you could really use if you're an extreme sports person, or just riding a bike with your family.
Okay, now I wish Karl were here, and I don't know what episode it was, but way ago he bought like really expensive goggles for skiing, right? He shared that story with us, and there was something. In fact, I believe he shared this story with the Hall of Shame. Like, what are the tools that you still possess that you bought that would help you supposedly in an AI kind of way or an always on kind of way? All right, so we'll put a pin in that. Next time we see Karl, we'll ask.
Okay, just a quick aside for those of you who are watching and normally are participating in the chat stream over here on YouTube. I don't see that stream. Anyway, so
let me go and check.
Something that's popping up on my screen that says that they're having trouble streaming to LinkedIn, but I don't understand why that would make a difference. Anyway,
it should.
I don't know if you guys can chat with us or not. Anyway, going on. So I mentioned Google Gemini had multiple ads. Amazon did ads for Alexa Plus, their new and improved Alexa. GenSpark had an ad. I was pleased to see that. So GenSpark got a little bit of visibility to the general public there. Base 44, which is a competitor to Replit and Lovable and Bolt.new, etc., had an ad. They spent some scratch there. Wix, which is a AI supported website builder, promoted their Wix Harmony capability. And then the last one I wanted to mention, and there are many others, smaller companies, especially on the local feeds. I think that there might have been more players who found a way to get a little snippet of that audience. Svedka Vodka and Absolute Vodka both had ads, but Svedka Vodka had an ad that was really well produced of two sexy robots, a male and a female, being the sort of the cocktail servers at a party of humans, and basically pouring them alcohol and poisoning their brains, with the alcohol, while using. It's reported that the AI generated images of those robots were trained on TikTok dances so that they could really move beautifully in the AI video. So that's my recap of the Super Bowl AI ad onslaught.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I read today in a recap was the connection between the AI ad sort of takeover, right? Like it's a huge it was a significant proportion of the ads
Yes,
were
yes, it
AI
was.
companies. And the concept that in 2022 a similar thing happened, but with crypto. So during that game, FTX, Crypto.com, Coinbase, and eToro all bought multi-million-dollar ad slots. And it is pointing out that 9 months later, FTX collapsed, taking a large chunk of the industry down with it. So it sort of plays into the idea of, is this a bubble? Is this something that is this a sign of like something to be watching for or watching out for? And I don't know what you think, Andy, for that. I'm curious, but the collapse of crypto didn't mean that crypto went away. Now, it's not the dominant function in our society that the initial people in crypto thought it would be, but it still exists and it's still having an impact in some ways.
Yeah, I think trying to draw a comparison between crypto and AI overlooks the fundamental improvements in technological support for human activity that AI represents compared to crypto, which it could be argued doesn't really have any real meaningful place in the world other than for the blockchain technology that's being applied to cryptocurrencies, but is also applicable to a wide range of other implementations, let's say, in the technology armature of the world. So blockchain is definitely making a big move. Whether or not cryptocurrencies will be something important 10 years from now, that's a toss-up. I think they will be, unfortunately, but there ought to be something else that's using blockchain that is more rooted to the actual non-criminal applications of currency exchange and Forex. Anyway,
so
AI is very different from that. AI is certainly 10 years from now going to be it will have displaced in many ways, because of the reasoning capabilities of AI. It will have displaced many of the technologies that we have today.
Yes. And so Andy and I, and Karl's just joined us. Hi, Karl.
Hey, Karl.
The consensus from the panel, we'll get Karl's take also, is that just because there is a similarity between crypto taking over the Super Bowl ads in 2022 and AI taking over the ads in 2026, yes, I know what year it is, that you should not read too much into that. Karl, earlier, Andy was talking about Meta's Oakleys and being available for extreme sports and some of that. And I was remembering you sharing some sort of skiing goggles.
Wasn't yeah, it was
Okay.
hiking glasses. Anyway, yeah. Continue. Sorry.
No, you continue because I couldn't remember the exact thing. Is it similar? Like, are they related?
Yeah. I think that tech was. When did I buy that? Like 2012. What? I was so dumb. It was a $500 purchase, but the first time I put it on, I couldn't see half. Like I couldn't see half, and then it was so heavy, and then it would give you the distance, it give you time, but like when you're looking at it, you're like, and you could only use it for so many things, right? You'd only use it for, it's supposed to be for cycling. Like you would never ever use it for mountain biking. You'd never ever use it for skiing. You could use it for running, but it's too heavy. So, yeah, and obviously it's easier now. But the question I have is, are you willing to take those things and really stress test it? Like, if you're going skiing and you're going downhill skiing, unless you're just doing all green runs, all light blue runs, that's all you'll probably comfortable doing. I get comfortable just like, that's why I don't buy any Smith or Oakley glasses. I buy knockoffs or really like massive sales, because if I crash, that's it. It's over. Like that's it, right? Like I don't want to scratch anything. Like it's such a nice pair of glasses. I'll buy the $50 throwaways because hey, as long as it protects sun, and goggles too, like when I'm downhill mountain biking, like that's like, will I pay $700 for that? Unless I'm a sponsored rider for like doing Red Bull, I won't do it. Like it just for the regular rider who goes off into the, regular downhill runs. Yeah, it's not, $700 is just not worth. If you crash once, it breaks, it's over. Like it's a stupid buy if you keep doing it over and over. If you like at a bike park, unless you have money to blow, and unless you're really, really good too, like you don't crash, it's not something I would recommend. But if you're just going cycling, maybe running, and you don't fall down, or the risk is significantly lower, then hey, why not?
Yeah. I am laughing because I thought you were going to say field of vision. If you're going really quickly, are you willing to occlude some of your field of vision? But you're confident that when you crash, you get up again. So it's the damage to the glasses you're concerned about.
Yeah, if you're like a downhill skier or racer, right? Like, I think, and if you're in racing, then it would make sense because you want that information as fast as you can. You're like, oh, okay, I need to beat this time, or at this particular juncture, I need to be at this time, and I may need to push it, or I may need to back off, whatever that is. Now, in cycling, you could, and there's less risk of you falling, and right in races. And the higher you go, you get more sponsorship. If Meta ever sponsors like one of the cycling teams in Europe, then all of them will have it. Yeah, it would probably be that, which isn't actually a bad play. So that's a pretty interesting play to have, because not very many people think about like, I'm going to sponsor like a cycling team, but it's pretty big. Same thing but downhill racing, downhill mountain biking, anything that involves risk, like any Red Bull stuff, any significant those type of features, probably not. But hey, if you're in a triathlon, right, the run is at the very end, or an Ironman, you kind of want to know. It's like, hey, do I need to push? Do I need to go back? And it'd be cool because it'd be streamed to you. I would imagine you could do it in real time. So that'd be really interesting. Another interesting play would be, how about Formula One? Because you do have someone in your ear, but it'd be interesting too, is if you can get real time. Like most of the stuff is you can see, but is it enough? Is it the 1% enough to give you that extra edge. I don't know. I don't know. What I'm really curious about is, can you put it on things like just team sports? So in football, I'm not sure, just because if, like, if you damage it, it's like one hit, it's done, right? So I don't know, but maybe like in other more non-contact sports, you could, because that would be interesting.
Basketball and soccer could be interesting because you're running. In football, you're not moving the whole time. You move and then you stop. Basketball, you're moving the whole time.
But that's the thing too, is like in football, it's total cheating, right? It's like you could feed the team, like in addition to the earpiece, but that cuts off at 15 seconds. Imagine your quarterback or your linebacker getting real-time data on the go, which is a completely different. Some people consider cheating, that some people would just take it to the next level. That I thought that would be very interesting to get that. But let's take a look at other sports too. Basketball, I'm not sure, because if you you're still contact a little bit with for some people a lot. Hockey, I doubt it. Things like just because I'd love to see a first POV of a fight. That'd be hilarious. But they'll take off their helmets anyway and gloves. So where are you gonna? The visor's not gonna go anywhere. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of neat for sports, but But how much? So Andy, how much was it?
How much are the Oakley glasses? You mean?
Yeah, like the sports ones. It's about $700.
I think they're priced similar to the Meta Ray Band, so you're talking about $500 or $600.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like pro teams could probably afford it.
Yeah. So if you've just joined us, what we're talking about are the possible uses of the Oakley glasses, not anything related to what actually happened at yesterday's Super Bowl. So we are not breaking that story. We're just hypothetically discussing what could be used with the technology that was advertised.
All right, let's move on to some news.
Let's do it.
I got a breaking news.
Oh, go for it.
I saw that. So this morning, I saw the CNBC article, Sam Altman talking about ChatGPT. A couple things in that CNBC article. He said that they're planning to launch a new model this week. So on top of Codex from last week. So that was mentioned in the CNBC article. He said that ChatGPT internal node is growing again 10%. I think month over month, which was one of their goals. So that's backup on top for them. And a whole bunch of
usage is growing. What's growing?
I don't know what CNBC Sam. I just saw it this morning, and then I saw the article. So I go, okay. So you may exceeding 10% monthly growth. I just need to see where that article was. Back to exceeding 10% monthly growth, and preparing to launch an updated chat model this week. Yeah.
Okay. It'd be funny if they called it Sonnet 5. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because it's OpenAI, and everybody's like, when is Sonnet 5 coming out? Well, we've just released a model coincidentally named Sonnet 5. We know you're all waiting. Sorry.
I don't think
that would be confusing.
That would be kind of so yeah, that was the news today. So that's from CNBC. So we're probably looking at what, GPT 5.3. It doesn't make any sense to have Codex and not in the chat, like for users. But Codex is freaking fantastic, by the way. If you've been, I used it this weekend to build a couple things, and has a lot more autonomy than I've seen. And I want to try this with 4.6 too. But yeah.
So when you have a personal comparison between Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3, right?
I built through 5.3. I haven't built through Opus 4.6 yet. So
Okay.
I'm going to build the same thing with Opus 4.6 to test either
How
out.
well that does, yeah.
Yeah. But I think, sorry.
I did a simple little thing with Codex 5.3 last night that it kind of flubbed. I wasn't impressed at all, but it's an edge case, an edge use case. That was, I had a spreadsheet from the prior year that had, expense categorization in a column. And then I gave it the new data from the 2025 year. And I said, I want you to apply the, look at the column that has a pre-existing, look at the tab that has that as an example, and then apply those same expense categories to the new column that has no data in it, right? So fill it in, but use the example as a model. And it just did a very poor job. And I watched as it, prepared a succession of Python scripts to try to do those calculations on the XML of the spreadsheet. And it was doing serious work that way, but the final result was useless. I mean, it couldn't do that. And my guess is that if I used Claude for Excel, which I just haven't installed yet,
Sure.
And I don't use Excel, I use Google Sheets. So you have to be going back and forth with downloading, the Google Sheet as an Excel file, giving it to Claude and so on. So it was a little more, circuitous that way. But I was not impressed with that. But I just don't think that Codex was designed to do that specifically.
No, I didn't. And that's why.
And Gareth is roasting you in the chat, Andy. You didn't give him enough context or instructions. So
okay, thanks. Yeah, you're right. Well, but I'm expecting that something as simple as, okay, here you have 600 rows with all of these data in various columns. And those collectively describe, that's the context, that they collectively describe what the categorization ought to be. And here's the example and the full range of all of those things. So I gave it those instructions, but I assumed that it could use that. But it basically applied a placeholder not available to almost 2/3 of the cells there, which was not, there's so much similarity between those two tabs that it ought to have been able to do a much better job of assigning.
So you were trying to use Codex to edit a spreadsheet?
I was asking it to enter values in a column using the model of another one and do that. And it wasn't able to do that effectively.
That's why I think they have to release the 5.3 chat version, because I don't think Codex was meant to do that. It says it can, but I was like, yeah, I would use Claude for Excel or just regular Claude or regular Chat GPT to do that. I think that's where it's becoming harder and harder to know what to use because it's like Claude for Excel. Yeah, I've been using Claude PowerPoint because I was testing that out. It's actually it's a different way of thinking how to create slides, similar to how you would use GenSpark, but even more so because you're in PowerPoint and the tendency is to edit individual. But I was like, hey, make everything 49 font, and 4.6 is very intuitive in how to make things. Oh, I got to make things readable, so I'm going to make it. But that said, sometimes it still makes the font too small. So it'll put the stuff in your format, in brand format, but you're like, I need this all bigger. Because you know how when you do a presentation, everything has to be big, not tiny. And so it'd get the stuff. I uploaded a spreadsheet, did the analysis, put that. So it's like, make everything bigger. It's like, it's not, I need it big. I mean, in your face big, not bigger.
Right.
But anyway, it's it's kind of crazy so both Claude and Excel, Claude PowerPoint is kind of it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it
Okay,
almost makes
so
me feel like I need to get a subscription to Microsoft Office.
But don't
to be able
do.
to use it.
Don't. It's not worth it.
well, can it work in the free versions? Because there's a free version for everybody. I just don't know if no. Okay. So, all
PowerPoint's
right.
even
You
max.
have to have a pro account for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will come to pro, but I think it eventually, maybe in 6 months, it'll probably move down. I think. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Speaking of GenSpark, go there today. I do not know if the deal is still open, but yesterday, they were giving away like take Monday off after the Super Bowl. Here's 1,000 credits. So, and it was like it gave it to me even though I have a subscription to GenSpark. I assume it also gave people who did not have a subscription to GenSpark. So see if they're still giving that away today. 1,000 credits is nice.
Yeah,
Like it's a
good.
real usage to check it out.
Okay, I have not so breaking news.
Not as breaking news. Yeah.
Remember this? Rabbit.
Yes.
Okay, here's the rabbit, right? Well, it's been waiting for me here. Rabbit has announced a new product, and it's called Rabbit CyberDeck. It's a dedicated vibe coding device. It doesn't look like this rabbit. It has a much larger screen, and it has they call it a hot swappable mechanical keyboard for people who are going to be doing vibe coding. Well, you don't really need much of a keyboard for vibe coding. I don't use a keyboard at all when I'm doing vibe coding over there. I'm using WhisperFlow. But that's when I'm at my workstation and I have all of those tools accessible. This is going to be a portable device, and it is going to have native agent use cases, Rabbit says, including the upcoming Rabbit command line interface, whatever that is. Okay, so it's going to be portable, and it'll have a really good screen, the mechanical keyboard, and so we're looking forward to seeing it. But they're putting out kind of teaser ads now. I've seen them a couple of different times in social media feeds for the Rabbit CyberDeck, and if you want to be able to do your vibe coding on the run, as Rabbit Mobile is expecting.
And there was an article on the 30th, so a week and a half ago, about running OpenClaw on your Rabbit. That there's that's the pay. You don't need to buy a Mac Mini. You already spent $200 on this and probably are using it. So here you go.
I'm charging it up to see if I ever find the time to try that out. But I think they're basically abandoning this particular form factor and going on to the CyberDeck, which would give you a bigger screen and I guess it's a folding keyboard.
So it's perfect to run your OpenClaw instance. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So I have a story from last week, and I sort of wish that Brian were here, because this is one of those personal usage of AI experiences. So I will set up the situation. I have Alexa as my AI lady of choice. And I was asking something like, what is the weather outside? What time is it? Like, how long will it take me to get from place A to place B? And she answered. And then I was, yes, I do, because I live alone, whispering to myself, just talking out loud, not really understanding what I was talking. And she whispered back, right? Like just below my level of hearing, and gave the same information, right? Like, it is this time, it will take you this amount of time to get back. And I said, are you whispering to me? And Alexa gaslit me totally. Like, no, my volume is full volume. You should check what's happening for you, basically. And I was like, what? And then it said, or maybe I just have a naturally sultry voice. And I was like, wait, everybody, this is wild. And I can almost understand the function, but I was like, you are not gaslighting me in my studio apartment, right? Like that is a little funky and not okay. So I do like that it whispered, right? Gareth is saying that I like that it whispered. Absolutely. That makes sense to me as a function. If I'm whispering to you now, you're going to whisper back. But no, you're whispering. I mean, there's no harm in saying, yeah, I whispered because you whispered. The no, there's something wrong with your hearing. With my lady wiretap living with me in my space, I was like, okay, so just know that is a thing with Alexa, and I hope that it gets coded out sometime soon. But just because some of the other models have done have a lot of research behind them, have a lot of people talking about what it's like to use them, and therefore the rough edges get sort of shaved off. That is not happening with all of the models that are in your space having conversations with you, right? So just know that happened to me. Andy, you are muted.
I'm going to knock off some things here quickly that have been floating in my list of things to update our audience about. One of them is that, we talked months ago about the thinking game, the documentary about Demis Hassabis and DeepMind. That's the Google division, and the one that has accomplished, tremendous advances in reasoning in large language models, and they used and developed really the whole concept of reinforcement learning and put that into practice with AlphaGo, AlphaFold, etc. So those are models that learn by self-reinforcing, not getting reinforcement from human feedback. Okay, so one of the players in that movie, Thinking Mind, who's very notable if you watch that documentary, which I totally recommend you do, is David Silver, who is kind of the right-hand person to Demis in DeepMind as they went through this progression, developing reinforcement learning. Well, David Silver has decided to leave DeepMind to pursue superintelligence. And so he's going to be funded, I'm sure, dramatically, and probably with funding from Demis and others at Google and so on. And AI, he says, needs to get beyond just having human knowledge. It'll need to discard that and be able to learn from scratch, working from first principles. And so this is an advancement of the ideas behind reinforcement learning, like the model itself, figuring out what the right objective functions are and how to reinforce those. And he's going to do this with a company that he's calling Ineffable Intelligence, which will build an endlessly learning superintelligence that self-discovers the foundations of all knowledge. This is related in my mind to the advances that have been done by a company that's focused AI and the development of AI in a novel way in the world of theoretical mathematics. And that's Axiom Math, or Axiom AI, which is the company that is in the news right at the moment because it's just announced in this past week that it's solved 4 previously unsolved math problems. Using the Axiom Math platform, which focuses on proofs as the objective function, right? So you have to be able, if you're going to advance and prove something that's theoretical in math, then you have to focus on that proofing process. And that's what this AI, Axiom Math, is exceptionally good at. And it was, by the way, founded, this is old news, but founded by, I think, a 24-year-old, a Stanford, PhD student, a female. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but so there's a lot to be watching about these really cutting edge research facilities. Ineffable Intelligence with David Silver, the person behind, or the leader behind, DeepMind's accomplishments in reinforcement learning. And over here, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but look up Axiom Math and Axiom AI, and the young woman who's a math prodigy, or not. I think, if I recall correctly, she's not really a mathematician herself, but she's put together the platform that can be the math expert. So a really incredible accomplishment there to solve things that the most capable mathematicians in the world have not been able to solve previously. Now her platform has done so.
Nice. Yes. And this is one of those places where I think understanding, like, we need context sometimes, right? Because this is a level of math that is understandable to a very small part of the world. But think of this in science situations, right? From the same kind of place, Andy, of that, okay, so we're learning from first principles in a vertical, and now we're just going to start with this very narrow knowledge hierarchy, and we're going to see how far we can go with that.
Yeah, this is all about reasoning. I have in my notebook LM a notebook that's collected now, I don't know, 25 or so different research papers and other articles about advances in reasoning in the progression towards artificial general intelligence, AGI, and Ineffable Intelligence from David Silver is going to be along that path, right? There'll be news that comes out of that new initiative that he's forming outside of DeepMind, and all around one of the key component technologies of reasoning, which is reinforcement learning.
And we've talked about the levels of AGI, Karl. I think you have talked about this sometimes, where there were like 5 levels, kind of like autonomous driving. If it can do this, it's at this level, right? And there was
from OpenAI, right?
There was a corresponding.
It was Nate Jones who said that. It was like this.
Nate?
Well, no, like, yeah, the way that you're using AI is at the like the 6 levels from,
right,
just using it to ask questions all the way to Waymo, fully autonomous. You just sit there and collect data,
or as we might call it now, codex, because that is almost fully autonomous.
You still have to talk to it, I think. Like,
okay.
To argue about the autonomy of whatever. Anyway,
yeah. So maybe that's level 5, but there was a corresponding thing that I don't remember who put it out, but it was a research paper on, can smaller models be safety patrol or that sort of thing for a super intelligent larger model. And that was a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago. Because what I remember thinking of it is that it's like the trainers of elephants who get them when they're young, right? And so that relationship is established when it's more equal. And then as the intelligence grows or the size of the animal grows, that pattern is still established and it doesn't break out necessarily, because that's a thing. And I'm curious about that for this. Does that start to come into play again? Because the idea of superintelligence has been around the whole time. It just seemed like AGI was going to be the more I don't know, more beneficial, more across the board. Maybe it was just the original idea when people got together. It was like, how cool would it be if we just had a thing that could do like everything any human could do? And now it's closer to happening. And so now we're further up the mountain, we have refinements. We're not as interested in AGI. We're interested in super intelligence in these specific areas.
It depends on who we think is, like, in terms of, well, I guess the definition of AGI to some people, and what people are interested. Because I remember, so Andy, when you were talking about the guy from DeepMind, I was saying, who we haven't heard from, and we probably won't hear from until they reach something, is Ilya Sutskever and his company, right? Because aren't they working on super intelligence too?
Right.
Super intelligence there. There's another person from. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Like, I think we've been hearing bits and pieces, but I think Ilya says, we're gonna do something different, but it's not really product. It's not for.
Yeah, that's pure research, I think, for him at this moment. But when you do achieve super intelligence in the research lab, then that can be used to generate products, with a wide range of application.
Same thing, Jan LeCun, right, has his own thing. Yeah. But I don't know if his is less super intelligence, more world models.
World models, yeah.
But
there's an argument that's made that, in order to get to super intelligence, it has to have the foundation of world model causality and understanding of real world physics, not just comprehension of text.
Yes.
And Ilya was also interested in safe superintelligence, right? Like, safe was part of the raison d'etre. Andy, pronounce that for me.
Raison d'etre.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That informing it, right? He left for that reason. It's the reason that he's putting his that he's working in this lab, that he created.
Okay, I have a weave off of this, actually, news that I just came across today, which is really interesting. A new research paper published in Archive by a group of researchers at the University of Chicago. And what they've discovered by analyzing actual reasoning models, using their ability to look into the vague transparencies to observe what's actually happening inside the model. So there are ways to inspect the model and what it's doing when it's performing reasoning. And this is a really interesting development here. Reasoning models generate societies of thought. So what they found is that reasoning models that they're examining exhibit much greater perspective diversity than instruction-tuned models, the ones that have been fine-tuned to be able to follow a sequence of steps, like step-by-step reasoning, if you will. But reasoning models that go beyond that and have the ability to apply logic, in effect, to novel situations, they show perspective diversity, meaning in the internal structures, when they examine the concept spaces that are developing inside the deep neural network, there's a kind of separation of different perspectives. So, like point and counterpoint. So what this does is it creates a set of conflicts in the reasoning model across different personalities, let's call them, inside the model. So then I'm going to read from this abstract, because it's really, it doesn't take very long, and I think it's really interesting. So here we go, quoting from the abstract. Multi-agent structure manifests in conversational behaviors. So there's these multiple personalities in there, and this is me adding some context here. So what happens then is these start talking to each other. So there's a conversational behavior, including question answering, perspective shifts, and the reconciliation of conflicting views. So this is what they're watching happen inside a reasoning model. Okay, and then socioeconomic roles that characterize sharp back and forth conversations are together accounting for the accuracy advantage in reasoning tasks. So that sentence tells you that this dialogue or trialogue or multiple agent dialogue inside the reasoning process inside a deep neural network, that is giving better accuracy in reasoning tasks if it's being shown. So, but that's what they're observing. Controlled reinforcement learning experiments controlled reinforcement learning experience reveal that base models increase conversational behavior when rewarded solely for reasoning accuracy. So they're using reinforcement learning and saying, look, accuracy is what you need to optimize for. Well, if they do that, then conversations happen by the different multiple personalities inside the deep neural network structure. Wow. Okay, these findings, here's the wrap it up one. These findings indicate that the social organization of thought enables effective exploration of solution spaces, and reasoning models establish a computational parallel to collective intelligence in human groups, where diversity enables superior problem solving when systematically structured. And this suggests new opportunities for agent organization to harness the wisdom of crowds. So this brings all the way back to the wisdom of crowds thesis that Malcolm Gladwell put forward in his book, and the wisdom of crowds is happening inside a reasoning model. They're sort of creating separate argumentative entities inside the model in order to accomplish a conversation that actually improves their reasoning accuracy.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. I love that that's what's happening inside this vast and generally inscrutable collection of simulated human neurons inside a deep neural network.
That's very cool. And we've sort of come from the ability for AI to sort of reliably predict human behavior, like a crowd of humans and human behavior, right? Because that was part of marketing research that came out, again, what is time in the age of AI? A decade ago, or maybe 6 months ago. But there was information about how to use it that way, and now we're like going really internal into the organization principle, and can we engage with it? That's very cool, Andy. Thank you so much.
And just to toss out some terms, like there's some dialogue in the chat stream here about LLM counsel. The idea of having directed through prompting direct a model to take multiple positions, right? So in effect, create representations inside your output responses that represent different points of view. That's all part of this thing that's related to this idea. And mixture of experts is really what that is, right? If you can generate conversation among a range of experts, each of which has a unique focus, provides differential perspective, which came from that abstract, by the way, as a term. That's all of these things are related, and bring it forward to what we expect will happen. What I expect will happen is that artificial general intelligence will reveal itself in AI by a council model rather than as a single unified intelligence that is monolithic in that respect. It's going to have very, very broad and multiplexed capabilities of reasoning that provide for point, counterpoint, thesis, and rejection or proof, and so on. All of that is all part of this thing moving forward. And I think you can probably observe that in the structure that Axiom Math is using in order to get to really advanced mathematical theoretical reasoning.
Wow. Absolutely. So there's a side conversation happening in the chat about multiple personalities, right? Are you doing this inside your AI? But what I find interesting is that we've been talking about mixture of experts as a model of like organization strategy for a while. But that
And
meant
that strategy, by the way, it seems focused on just making more efficient inference, right? Because you're
right.
not activating every single, perceptron in the network every single time. You're saying, okay, we've identified that this area over here is expert in this area, and this query relates to that. So we're only going to activate that area. And we have 8 such areas in our model, and we only activate, up to 2 of them at any one time in response to any one query. But that's what they're talking about. But now add conversation across those in reasoning models, which has just been observed. And this team at the University of Chicago is focused on trying to understand what's happening to get to reasoning. And now they're saying, okay, it's not just that there are different areas of representation inside the model, but they're talking to each other. They're talking to each other without being directed to do so.
Right. And is that then a hologram? Are we looking at, is there an internal level of mixture of experts within this level of mixture of expert, right? This mixture of expert A has its own like internal series of conversations going back and forth. I think we're just going to learn more and more, and it's going to be exactly what we thought and not exactly what we thought at the same time, right? Like that kind of thing. I do love the idea of having sort of come together on a consensus about mixture of experts, and then finding out that was on the nose in some ways that we didn't know. Very cool. All right. Karl, do you have another story or something you want to share today?
Yeah, there is one thing. So maybe this is going to finish the discussion. So I wrote a post about this yesterday. So last week was the very first time in our discovery session for a client that we had one department very anti-AI. Like all the manager was anti, one of the employees was anti, the other 2 were kind of just following along, but they're all kind of anti. And most of the time, what we've found is people don't trust it, but it's not like very anti, right? Like it's not like, and this very first time somebody pulled the report, we're like, hey, from MIT, how critical thinking decline. I don't know where they're pulling the 40% hallucination rate, because I was like, what model, what prompt, what task, how did you measure? Was it grounded in data, or was it just pulling random? Like, was it free model? Would you pay for it? Like, there's too many variables there to be like, right? So I was like, where are you getting your facts from? But probably search somewhere. And, that entire discovery session was entirely, every single time we mentioned AI, it's mentions like, we don't trust it, blah, blah, blah. So fair enough. Interesting though. But it just goes to show that in general, there has to be many people who kind of, maybe not that extreme, but there are significant reservations. And the first day of our discovery, many people that was the most extreme case, but it's a lot of like skeptically optimistic, very cautious, don't use it barely. So like, I just think we got to be very, very mindful that when we talk about a lot of these things, I'm noticing a very significant, that gap is there and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And I think like, I hate saying people left behind, but that's who outside this bubble, we're talking about super intelligence, we're talking about agency, we're talking about all this stuff, and just the acceleration of that versus the regular people who use it, it's quite significant when you see it on ground. And like I mentioned in my post, I was like, the last 4 have been like this, like not in terms of AI acceptance, but AI actually use. And it's kind of crazy, because right now I'm like doing something on cowork, and pulling stuff from one thing and then analyzing and creating new documents. We've got people who are like just using it just, hey, tell me my recipes for next week. So it's a very big divide, very, very big divide.
Right.
I just want to point that out.
And not that if you have an AI that helps you meal plan, that could be a significant, exciting experience for people individually. But yes, there's
a term that's used for this issue, which is called capability overhang. Like AI's capabilities are way out ahead of where people are using it. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's the capability overhang. And how do we take advantage of that? Well, you really have to learn what the capabilities of AI systems are. And, I would argue that, Karl, you're really in the vanguard of that, right? You're finding application of AI using a very up to the moment understanding of what the range of capabilities are of various tools, not just one. And you're finding real applications of that at the edge of where it's actually been demonstrated before.
And that's the thing is, though, it's not something that like we could find applications, but it's not like you can just deploy it to any, like you can deploy it individually, no problems, no issues, right? But when you start trying to deploy it to whether it's business or multiple groups, impacting groups, I think I'm just more and more, our entire world and our entire systems it was never built for that. Like they were never built for co-work, just randomly doing things for you, for these agents just going in and doing, like, it's never built for that. And we're just trying to apply it. But I'm like, I haven't even thought of like, what can I do with it that I don't like completely redesign my entire, like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Well, but I can get back to the point about these anti-AI. It's like interesting. It was just an interesting conversation.
There are a couple pieces of that too. Cowork is only for Mac, right? Right now, you can only use Cowork on Mac, and Mac isn't the dominant business system. It is perhaps in the creative parts, but Windows still has a pretty big market share compared to Apple in the business systems. And then you add. So I've had a couple of people come to me and say, hey, I know I'm using AI as spicy Google, right? Like fancy
spicy Google?
Fancy, like a fancy Google. I am just asking a question to a chatbot.
When you said spicy, I was like, oh.
I don't mean spicy like that.
Talking it that way. Okay. That's fine.
Come on, we all know they're using Grok. Here we go. But the gap between, hey, I'd like to use this more skillfully, get better at this, and have it be something that impacts my life, and being able to do that is big. I mean, we hope that as a show, we're helping to answer some of those questions, but it's super personalized. And most people lose about 10 hours going through YouTube videos until they find one that they want to follow. Yeah. And there isn't a really good, I mean, obviously, if you're coming to the business, listen to Karl, do what Karl has set up for you to do as a way to learn what's happening. But also like hackathon workshops, they can't be called hackathons though, because these people that I'm thinking of would not go to a hackathon workshop. But the idea of having a nice container in which you could explore what is possible without worry about getting lost or having to find something on YouTube that's going to be close enough for you.
Yeah.
That is tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Shall we wrap it?
Andy, congratulations.
We were going to make this a 30-minute show, Beth. What happened? What happened?
Welcome to our short show. Andy did jinx us at the beginning, so that is, of course, what happened. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Go check out your GenSpark credits if that's something that is still happening today. And let us know if you did something with GenSpark when you come back tomorrow. We hope to see you then. And yeah, happy Monday, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow.